people. It's Sunday. It's 3 p.m., which means it's time for the Freshwater Perspective. I'm Tim.
And this is Gary.
And that's Gary. Not like Mickey Mouse
No.
just plain old Gary. Huh. That is quite interesting. Did something did you get sued by Chuck Norris for pretending? Is there like a law against pretending to be Chuck? Did he show up at your house?
He is my house.
He is my house. He basically came over to your house and like shamed your mustache. He was like, "What kind of shit is that? Like, it ain't no Chuck Norris mustache."
His beard is my blanket.
Yeah, that's beautiful. That's beautiful, man. I love it. I love it. So, yeah, man, how was your week? We'll start off with how our weeks were.
The week was Fast and Furious. What did we do this week?
Fast and the Furious.
I guess I've been just busy, prepared, getting ready for some new hire coming on board. So getting that all prepped and ready and structured, using a little Chat GPT, what we talked about.
Yeah, we did talk about that.
Last podcast.
Chat GPT.
So I'm pretty excited about that. One of our coworkers, agents, got an offer on one of his homes he has listed, so that's exciting. Congrats, Brad.
Yeah, way to go, Brad.
Really, other than that, it kind of was a blur. I'm drawing a blank.
So nothing important happened. Nothing important.
I mean, I talked to you about some shirts.
Apart from that.
Yeah,
you did. Yep, we did.
Everybody's alive and well. Everybody's healthy.
Speaking of that, while you're here, I have a thing for you to take home with you.
Oh. But yeah, how was your week?
Everyone's alive and healthy. That's good. Yeah, man, my week was okay. It was good.
You had a little bit of a stressful week.
I do. Things have been stressful a little bit around the shop. Mostly just like financially stressful. I'm in this weird place where like it seems like business is good, but there's not a lot there's nothing to show for it. And it's a struggle sometimes because it's a struggle all the time. Being a business owner, really. Mm-hmm. It's not just easy peasy. It's not just start your own business and everything is gravy, bro.
No,
that's not how it works.
Man, I know that.
I just, in case you ever wanted to start your own business one day, I was just gonna let you know.
Yeah.
It's not how. That's not how it goes.
I learned all my hard lessons, but continue on.
Yeah,
the hard
and it's just it's just one of those things where it's like, look, tomorrow's payroll again. You know what I mean? And it's like, oh gosh, and it's just I struggle a little bit with like, is the person that I have, are the people that I employ doing enough to justify having employed people? Right? Like, I have this grand vision for my business. At least I had this grand vision for my business to be a pillar of the community that employs people and actually pays them enough money to live. And you know what I mean? And all of this kind of stuff. And it's like, is that really what's going to happen? Or am I going to end up just having to drop back and punt completely and go back to the days of just me and a press and a computer and it's just me screen printing and there's no extracurricular stuff? But then I have customers that expect to be able to email me and say, hey, I need shirts and I need some hats embroidered. And if I can't do that anymore, then are they going to go somewhere that can do both?
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's there's a lot going on. It's a lot to think about. It's a lot of thoughts to think. And, so I'm struggling with that and praying about it, and we'll see. It'll all come out good on the other end. I know that. It's just, there's a girl at our church that has, she's the wife of one of the pastors, and he says from stage a lot that she has this quote, if it's not good, God's not done.
I saw you post
and I'm like, man, that's so good, right? It's it's so good, but it's also almost like a cop-out kind of in a way, right? Because it's like things aren't going great, so is God even there? Are you even doing anything? And it's yeah, because if it's not good, he's not done. And it's well, yeah, okay, I guess that makes, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's a little bit of but it is good when you really stop and think about it. For me, anyway, it's a good little saying. So, But I think we're going to be okay. I just have to do some soul searching
So
and figuring out what's going on in the world.
I will
Just
say,
trying to figure out life,
I will say this. From my perspective, you are on it. You are really grinding the area. So when you say pillar of the community, I think if you continue down the path that you are, you 100% will. I've had this conversation with my team. We think that you're destined for great things as long as you keep on your path. You know, we have ups and downs. And
right.
We all go through it. I mean, we're going through
Everybody
it
thinks
enough.
the path is like this, and it's really
Straight
like
up to the moon.
it's basically just a bunch of loop-de-loops and twisty-turnies, But
So I think if you keep the course, the business stays fun, exciting. You don't regret going to work. You don't regret having employees. You
Yeah.
don't regret the business. And who knows? Maybe 2 years down the road, it's a different business that you're killing it with. We see
that's right.
a hard worker. We see something special in you as a person, as an
You're all right,
individual.
you know that, and the rest of your team.
That we think that you'll be successful with whatever it is that you do. Just keep the course, brother.
Yeah.
It'll pan out how it's
And
supposed
successful, that brings us into an interesting discussion that we could
to.
have.
Super interesting.
Successful doesn't necessarily mean the same thing to everyone, right?
This is true.
Like, successful to me doesn't necessarily mean $1 million in the bank, a nice house.
Absolutely.
All of that sort of stuff. Like I said, to me, actually, honestly, as of right now, anyway, what success for my business looks like to me, not for me personally, but success for my business looks like to me, is a business in this community of Freeport that is part of the community, which I think I've done that pretty
Yep,
well.
would
We're
agree to
doing
that.
that pretty well.
I would say you are.
But I really also want it to be a place where I grow it to a point where I can employ more people.
And that's a good word you just used there, by the way.
What's that?
Grow.
Grow, yeah. It's not there yet, for sure, right? But that vision is what is the hurdle that I'm trying to get over in this decision that I'm trying to make right now. Because growth to me doesn't necessarily look like taking a step backwards.
I was just gonna say that.
Right?
It can though.
But it can be. And that's a struggle. That's basically the thing I'm struggling with the most right now is I feel like my business needs to take a step backwards, like drop back, regroup, like come up with a new plan of attack, and then go back. Like I really, the other day was ready to sell all of my equipment except for my screen printing press
And just
and like start completely over from like where I was in the garage. You know what I mean? Like I would stay in this building, but like because that was the first major thing that I did was move out of my house and into a storefront. But when I did that, all I had was a computer and a screen printing press. You know what I mean? Like I didn't have all this other stuff, embroidery machines and sublimation printers and heat presses and all that stuff. So I'm like, maybe I just need to drop back and like go back to square one, essentially, quote unquote, square one, and rebuild back to where I am, but the correct way, because I can look back and see things I did completely wrong, right? And then did the exact same thing wrong again. And if you want, I will tell that story. But I think that you need to speak for a minute. What do you have to say?
No, I think I can attest to that.
We were going to talk about something completely different.
We were. When we can.
We have time.
I was in a great position personally where when we started the business, we didn't have phenomenal bills to weigh us down, to weigh our start. But if you want to talk about punting and growing, we had to end up taking a step or two back. So when we first started the company, it was basically me discussing with Donna and Jessica. We're sitting at the kitchen table and we're writing business names down. We're writing the business plan out. We're writing it all in this trusty notebook that I still have and still go back to. We think we come up with this glorious business name, and now I think it was kind of long, but
Sure.
And when we came up with it, it had absolutely nothing to do with the reason why we don't have the name
That's
any
right.
longer.
Yeah.
So when we came up with the name Bayside to Seaside Realty, we just thought, what is something unique? Because we're over on the bay.
Right.
Our house and our brokerage, as of right now, our office is on the bay.
Right.
But we wanted to portray, hey, we're not just on the bay. We're not just selling water properties.
Right. We're selling everything between the two waters.
And, you know, Bayside to Lakeside, Bayside to Oceanside, Bayside. We went through it all. And Bayside to Seaside, I thought was phenomenal. There was nothing to think about.
The two words are the same length. They're, Oceanside's
Right.
too many letters, too many syllables. I like the way you think.
We had no intention of the Seaside the town, because to be completely honest, we
Seaside
haven't
the
sold.
company.
Yeah, Seaside the town, Seaside the company. We haven't sold a property in Seaside. I
Well,
know
you
the
can't.
story of the
So-
development. Right, they have their own
Yeah.
company. Anyway, there was no thought process at all based off that. And I'm going to fast forward the story because I don't need to take up a full hour of this conversation. But we're moving along. We're at Sam's Club, our first Sam's Club run, buying a bunch of business stuff. I don't remember what we got there for the business, but I got a phone call from an individual from the company. And this is month 1 or so.
From Seaside.
Yes. Hi, this is
So-and-so?
Sally Blank. I work for Seaside. Hey, this happens all the time. We got companies that have the name in their business. You're gonna basically go have to change your name. So I'm freaking out. I'm losing my mind. Talk about anxiety. Our last
Sure.
podcast, it went through the roof. I barely got out of Sam's Club. So I called a local attorney, and he basically said, there's no way. Your
Yeah.
Bayside is Seaside, really. There's no way that they can bully you out of your name just because of Seaside itself. And they did have Seaside trademarked.
They do.
They do have it trademarked. So long story short, a whole year goes by, almost 2 years.
Yeah.
So it was beginning of this year. They called back after the attorney told me that, because I kind of relaxed, and were like,
We
No.
noticed that.
no call.
Oh.
On my doorstep was a cease and desist letter, basically.
Yeah. They probably from like a legit from the court.
An attorney from California. So I contacted the lawyer again, and he basically said, listen, they're just trying to intimidate you, yada, yada, yada. You can continue about your business or do whatever you want, basically. I could hire an attorney. So we talked it over. I thought about it. We could have paid money to pay an attorney to fight it.
Right.
But by the time we thought we paid for the attorney, maybe won, maybe lost, most likely won, whatever you want to look at it. We thought, well, let's go ahead and punt right now.
Yeah.
Let's rebrand. Let's pay for all the costs. Let's just do this all over again. I don't want to be.
It's easier to just comply essentially in that case, right? Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like,
So we spent thousands of dollars
yeah.
to rebrand. We had issues with our business bank account and transferring the business name. It finally got resolved because we had to have our employee ID number with the tax.
Yeah.
IRS had to
EIN.
show it, and the bank had to have it. So we had to take checks one way before we could fully go to our current name. So yeah, I know all about punting.
Yeah.
And we have other stories from, we had an employee that started with us that is no longer with us. So we've punted a few times, man.
Yeah.
I think it's
I like your
normal.
new
I think
name
it's
better.
normal.
I wonder about your name, though, your original name. The thing I wonder about, I've thought about this a few times, and I've never actually vocalized it to you. I wonder if you would have used Seaside as 2 words.
I thought about it.
If you would have been okay from the beginning, right? Like
Probably.
because their trademark is the word Seaside. SEASIDE,
Right.
one word.
Right.
So if you would have put a space there from the jump street, right? Like,
Yeah.
you would have probably been okay.
Or use 2 E's versus an A.
Ooh, Seaside. Weird.
It would have worked.
But that's a pretty big theme around here, is using beach and bay, or beach or sea and bay. Like my dad's, I mentioned in our
Well,
one of
across
our
the U.S.,
earlier-
there's more than one brokerage of certain names.
Oh,
across the
sure,
US,
sure,
too.
sure. Yeah. So
Sorry.
no, you're good. I mentioned my dad was a general contractor for a while in one
Yes.
of our previous episodes, and the name of his company was Beach Bay Building Group. Like, you know what I mean? Like that, and that gets used. I see people all the time around here that
Yeah, Beach
use
to
like
Bayou Plumbing.
beach to Bayou Plumbing. There's a Beach to Bay Electrical. I think there, all this different stuff. So, yeah, I think that. But when you use that word seaside, they're gonna jump at you.
Oh, sure.
They're gonna come because they can. It's not that they should. It's just that they can, because they have the dollar power.
I have some more
Right.
thoughts
Mm.
about why some of this had happened.
Oh, you mentioned that.
Yeah, I'm not gonna get too far.
We
in
won't
depth
talk
with
about
it,
that.
But I will say, it is a local business in our area,
Right.
and it's just more of a thought than what really happened.
Yeah,
But there is a little relation with some individuals and folks
that's true.
of some people from Seaside, and I never thought about this until I was treated differently and got weird looks and weird thoughts. And I'm gonna leave it at that.
I
If
remember
it is
you
a
telling me about
local
that.
business in this area that helped play a role in that change,
Mm-hmm.
guys, it's okay. I'm not mad at you. I'm not mad. Hey,
No, I think you're probably better off the way you are now.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think they
but
did
you
a
never had
favor.
to be intimidated by us. We're
Yeah, they did you a favor, but at the same time, like you said, they didn't have to do you that favor.
Potentially.
Yeah, potentially.
Potentially.
Allegedly,
alleged.
as they say. So yeah, let's talk about. That's enough business. That's enough business.
That was quite
talk.
a bit of business.
That's enough business talk.
Yeah. Let's talk
We
about
mentioned
video
we were going to
games.
talk about video games
Yeah.
tonight. Let's talk about video games. I'm going to ask you, what's your first big, or not necessarily your first, but like your early kind of big memory of video games, right? Like, was it like you beat a game after trying and trying and trying? Was it like hanging out with your cousins and playing a game or something? You know what I mean? Like something like that. Like you and your friends, like you met kids at school and like, you bonded over game. Like what's your first big like memory of video games?
Shouts out to my dad.
My diddy.
I was either 3 or 4. I think I was 3. The first game I used to always watch him play was Super Mario Brothers.
So your dad was a gamer.
Yes.
Okay.
He loved it. Still does.
Sure.
My mom worked nights, I think, at that time, and she still tells a story. She'll be like, "Now, Gary, don't let your son play video games or watch."
Or watch.
And obviously, the first thing that happened when she went to work was
Keep plugging video games.
I watched the entire night, well, not the whole night, but
Yeah.
played Super Mario Brothers.
Sure.
First experience of
Sure.
a video game.
That's beautiful. It's beautiful. Man.
Yeah.
My dad wasn't really into video games. His little brother had an Atari 2600
Oh, yeah.
that I inherited at one point. And that was kind of cool. But we did have an NES in the house, and we did have at my dad's. I had NES, but it was like you had to like fight to play it, right? Because it was a hassle back in the day. You didn't just turn it on.
Right.
You had to unhook the VCR and
Oh, yeah,
you know
yeah,
what I
yeah,
mean,
yeah,
or
yeah.
whatever. Like unhook something to
Only
hook
one
something else
auxiliary
in. And,
hookup.
yeah, and you had to, it was a big to do. So you had to like get it out of the box and
Or the antenna
hook
cable
everything
you had to
up.
use.
Right, you had to change everything out. Right, you didn't just
Coax setup, yeah.
you had to hook it up to the coax cable because not all TVs back then
Had the red, white, and yellow.
had RCA outputs.
Yeah.
Or inputs rather. So yeah, you had to. It was a big to do to play video games when I was a kid or when we were kids. So yeah, there was a lot to it, and it wasn't just a matter of like turning it on like it is now and switching to the HDMI 2, or
Which
whatever,
automatically
what I mean?
does it now.
Yeah, right. As soon as you turn it on, it just changes to it because it knows it's on. Yeah.
So what was your first game?
My big memories from being a kid and playing video games come through Tecmo Bowl
Oh.
and California games. Did you ever play
Hacky
California
Sack.
games?
Oh, yeah, the surfing.
dude. So we would have my cousin and some of his friends from school, because my cousin grew up here. And well, actually, no, he was a little older than me. So he always went to Freeport schools. And I always went to elementary school. I went to elementary school in Santa Rosa Beach, in Point Washington. And so we didn't go to the same school until middle school, because he was a grade older than me. So he was in 8th grade and I was in 7th grade at the same time. My cousin Joe. And so then our friend groups kind of started to mold together, right? Like, you know what I mean? Because all my friends from Bay had to come to Freeport now. So we were going from 6th to 7th. I had my group of friends that came to middle school with me. He had his group of friends that he had grown up with his whole life, essentially. And, you know, so those groups started to intertwine a little bit at that point. And we would have like weekend-long Tecmo Bowl tournaments.
Nice.
Where like you would sleep in shifts, because like you knew you had like 3 or 4 games before it was your turn to play again.
Yeah.
And so like, all right, cool, I can go to sleep. And then, you know what I mean? And so we would do that. And then we would play. My grandmother used to rent this house in Destin, in Sandestin area, Miramar Beach area. I don't know. She didn't like rent it. I think she like house sat actually for these people, basically, right? Like once every summer while they would go somewhere else, or maybe the whole summer. I don't know. I don't remember that well.
Timeshare.
But we would. No, it wasn't like that.
I'm just kidding.
She cleaned houses for people and stuff a lot. And so I think that she was like just there to like upkeep their house while they were gone back.
Was
They
it
were like
tagged
snow
RLS?
burns or something, right?
Yeah.
So like that kind of thing. So we would go there for like a week or two during the summertime every year and hang out. You know where like Hidden Dunes is?
Yes.
It was in like that area. It was right on the beach, little blockhouse thing. Anyway, it might not even be there anymore. Who knows? But we used to go there, and we would bring the Nintendo and stuff, because Joseph had one, I had one. You know, we would bring multiples sometimes and like have, you know, multiple games going at the same time. And yeah, it was fun, man. Playing California games, surfing and skating, and like an Excite Bike, bro.
Oh,
Excite Bike
yeah,
was my
yeah,
jam. So yeah, man,
so
we played
many games.
NES games were great, man. And then like moving into like Super Nintendo
Yeah.
and Sega Genesis. I had a Sega Genesis at my mom's house.
Hey, did you ever play Mutant League Football?
Yes. I remember that game. I don't think we played it
Bones
a ton,
Jackson.
but like Bones Jackson. We played a lot of NFL Blitz, because that was on one of the consoles at some point.
Mm-hmm. Did
NBA
you remember you
Jam.
could bribe the ref?
Yeah, dude. Yeah, crazy, right? So yeah.
Warning
man.
alert! You could
Uh-oh.
murder the
You
ref.
can
you
murderize
could
them.
slaughter the other team.
Oh, jeez.
You could
That's
beat
terrible.
the opponent by
It's no wonder that parents don't like video games.
slaughtering the other team.
Well, if you kill all their players,
They wouldn't have enough left.
yeah, you have to forfeit.
So if you're the little reptile, if you guys are watching and remember Mutant League Football, the little reptile would spin,
Yeah.
and he would be a wrecking ball, and he
Came
was the
in
way.
like a wrecking ball.
Just like that.
Yeah,
That was the cheat code.
it was
of that
basically
game.
Miley Cyrus. Yeah.
They tried remaking it for I don't remember which system, but you can download a remade. I didn't try it. I knew it wouldn't be the same.
Yeah, I feel that way about NFL Blitz now. Like I go back and play, like at the arcade or something.
It's so
they'll
blocky.
have it, and I'm just like, this isn't the game I remember. You know what I mean?
Yes.
It is. It's the exact same game, but it's just not the game I remember. Because things are just different now.
Yeah.
Which is an interesting conversation to have of like your perception of games when we were kids is completely different than your perception of games now.
Oh yeah.
And like looking back at, like I picked up a Nintendo 64 controller one day not too long ago and like didn't even know how to hold it. You know what I mean? Like I couldn't even remember how to hold it. because it had the 3 sections. And so I was like, which
Yeah.
of these sections am I supposed to? I don't remember what's happening. And so, you know, but like when I was a kid, like when Nintendo 64 came out, you just picked, like, you just knew.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like it wasn't even a question. But now I'm just like, what? I'm not dexterous enough for this. You know?
Do you remember Mario Paint?
Yeah, on Super Nintendo, it had the mouse and everything, and the little fly slapping game.
I'm gonna try to think of some eclectic stuff. So
Yeah, Mario Paint was the jam, dude.
when we were
There's
young,
a guy that made what did he do? He made some kind of like crazy
song?
piece of art in Mario. You could make songs in Mario Paint.
yeah, when we were young, Tom and Dan, shout out guys, we would probably draw the most stupidest things you could ever think. I think one of them,
dicks.
we were very immature, and one was like a guy peeing, and it was just stick figures. But it'd be like 11, 12 at night, and we've had 2 liters of Mountain Dew and
Yeah,
whole La Via pizza, whatever. But we would die laughing at the stupidest things we would create on that game.
Mario Paint. Yeah, it was good. I used to like to make music on Mario Paint.
Yeah,
I should make a song on Mario Paint. I bet there's like a Mario Paint emulator or something online you could get and make music
I
on.
wish I still had it.
Yeah, my brother probably has it. To be completely honest with you,
Craziest game.
He's got a lot of stuff like that. Craziest game,
That you can think of.
like it's in terms of like they shouldn't have made this, or in terms of like Leisure Suit Larry type crazy games, or like do you not know those? That was a PC game back.
Okay,
in the
so I do. I have a little bit of PC game background, but
Yeah.
I think you'll end up having more there.
day. Okay,
Just think of the most
So,
abstract game that you've ever witnessed.
the most abstract game
That-
that I've ever like played.
You question
or
either the
seen
game or
whatever.
yourself for playing.
Because it was just awkward, or like
Just weird.
just weird. Man, I don't know. That's a weird question. I'm gonna assume that you have something in mind.
I
so-
don't.
Oh, you don't. Oh gosh, so you're asking questions you don't even have an answer.
Nope.
Whew,
I was
that's
just
rough.
Trying to puzzle you.
Yeah, that's crazy. Like some things are popping up into my head. Like Conker's Bad Fur Day was a game that like had a mature rating, so it had like stuff in it that you shouldn't see if you're a kid,
Right.
like cartoon boobies and stuff like that.
Like Duke Nukem.
Like Duke Nukem. I played a lot of Wolfenstein 3D back in the day.
Myst was kind of
When it came
weird.
out. Myst was a weird game. We talked about Myst once
We
before,
did.
you and I, just like in conversation. Myst was a very weird game.
I was no good at it. I was too young.
I
My
don't know
dad
anything
was
about that.
enveloped in that thing. Like,
Yeah, I was probably too young for Myst when I actually played it too. Just because like there was nothing going on, but there was so much going on.
oh yeah,
Because like there was no movement
Nope.
in the game. It was just screens essentially. If you never played Myst, it was like a walk around puzzle game. It wasn't like a shooter.
no,
It was very first person though.
yes,
You were in a first person view, and you could manipulate things on the screen like levers and switches
Yeah.
and buttons to unlock or lock things in the other parts of the
I guess you could say
game.
world.
the world. And so essentially if you weren't paying attention for real, you just run around flipping switches and
For
stuff.
the entire time.
You just screw the whole game up.
yeah,
Because like, there's no way you had to do the thing in the order that it was supposed to be done in, and so you just be running around as a kid, just be like flipping levers and
Yes.
turning on lights, and and it just didn't actually make any sense. You were just doing stuff to no avail. It just was it was just random.
right.
Myst was an interesting, and there was a follow-up game to Myst called Riven. Do you remember that one?
Yeah,
I never played it. I don't think. If I did, it was very fly by night. I didn't put a lot of time into it. Another good video game memory that I have is playing Gauntlet
Oh, the original?
at Elsie's Pizza.
The original?
Yeah, I think it might have been Legends, but I'm pretty
They had
was there a
Gauntlet
Gauntlet
on
2? I remember Gauntlet Legends that came out on like
64.
64. I had that at my house, but
That
this
was a good game.
this would have been before that. So
I think
so
there was a
LC's
gauntlet.
opened in like 1983. So this is their, yeah, that's a long time ago.
It was probably the original Gauntlet.
I would have been one that year though. So like, you know, but I played baseball up here when I was a kid. We went to church up here when I was a kid, even though we lived in Santa Rosa Beach. So like all of that stuff, like all of our extracurricular stuff happened in Freeport because there was nothing in Santa Rosa Beach, right? So we were up here a lot, and we would go to LC's in the evenings, like after church, like for dinner on Sundays or whatever, or in between church, because we were like twice on Wednesday nights and twice on Sundays, you know, back in the day for some part of my childhood, not all the time. So we would go to LC's Pizza for dinner sometimes, and man, I would wear that machine out, dude. As long as my parents would keep giving me quarters, I would keep playing. And yeah. But now, man, like, well, there was a time when we were kids where it started to transition into this, like, video games are bad. Like you mentioned your mom.
Yeah.
You mentioned your mom not wanting your dad to like let you even watch him play video games. Is that because she thought it was gonna like melt your brain?
No, I think it's just because I was so young.
Sure. Right, but that's when your brain gets melted, is when you're young.
I don't think that was why. I think she wanted me in bed.
She wanted you to... Okay, so she wasn't necessarily a video games are bad scenario for her. It was just like, you should be asleep.
That's correct, yes.
Gotcha, yeah. Because she was going to work at night, which means she probably worked like... Did she work like a 11 to 7 shift
Something
or
like
something
that,
like that, maybe? So
Yeah.
you should have already been... I gotcha. But you weren't. You were up Mario Brothers.
That's right.
Yeah, you were playing Luigi like a mug.
And
No.
Jess and I are the same way at the house. It's just, let's not impede any homework or getting things done or picking up. And sometimes we use it as a reward, but
Sure.
there has been a time yet where I thought, well, this is harming them. And this may be dangerous to say, I don't mind them watching me play Elden Ring.
Right, where you're beating up monsters.
It's a game.
It's a video game. It's fake. It's fictional. You know, that's the thing I never understood about... Well, okay, so there was like a time where like video games were the devil.
Yes.
They were of the devil.
Like a pariah for sure.
Like Pokemon was of the devil for a little while too, right? Dungeons and Dragons was of the devil.
in the older
Video
era.
games were of the devil. There's going to always be something that people want to fight against. That's just what we do as people.
Or become the scapegoat.
We're very anti everything until we realize that it's not as bad as we thought. And even sometimes then we don't back down, right? You know, but video games, man, there's actually been studies done now that video games have been around long enough to have these types of things, and like generations have grown up with them versus like one person. You know what I mean? Like when we were kids, we were like the first generation to grow up with video games, right?
Yeah.
Now there have been more generations of kids that have, you know, grown up with video games.
Well, the business has expanded. It's not just...
And it's a huge business. Yeah, for sure. Insane. But now there have been studies done that show that kids that play video games actually, now, not always, this is all not going to always be true, but do better at sports, are better in school, are better at paying attention to things, have better hand-eye coordination, you know what I mean? Whereas parents thought that all that stuff was gonna be destroyed by video games.
Right.
That's what they were worried about. They were worried that you were not going to be able to do well in school, or that you were going to just become a couch potato, or, you know, and that's on the parent.
That's correct.
Really, right? Like letting your
It's just
kid
being
play video.
uneducated, really, though.
Yeah, letting your kid play video games, and letting your kid become a couch potato are both things that you can control
Now,
as the parent, right?
there is a difference here, though. There are some kids that go on to play video games to maybe take advantage or create a social aspect they may not be getting outside of the video
Sure.
game that could be dangerous.
That's true anywhere.
So I think any healthy parenting, if you're paying enough attention to your kids, which again, it's hard enough. We got 4 kids.
Sure, it's hard to pay attention. Sometimes
I'm
you only
preaching
have
to
3.
myself as well.
That's right.
But yeah, just keep a tabs on them.
Yeah. A lot of the stuff that happened, in my non-parent opinion, a lot of the stuff that parents fear is really within their control, right? Like if you just like, I really don't want my kid to do drugs. Well, it's like, well, pay attention to your kid, and if it looks like they're doing drugs, say something. But most parents say, oh, well, I don't want my kid to do drugs, and then their kid is obviously doing drugs, but they won't say anything or do anything about it because they want to be best friends or whatever instead. You know what I mean? And it's like, no, you have to parent still. Like, that's the thing, you know?
And I've got a long way to go until I'm at the hormonal years and going through a lot of that. But I'm sure I'll have some more stories about that as
if we
come.
keep doing this, we'll have,
But yeah, I can say that I remember playing some Halo, and there may be some unsavory things that I have said to some individuals, 140%. And I'm sure there's been some addresses dropped a few times.
Addresses?
A couple Addy drops.
Oh, you were like, you meet me here. Like, what are you talking about? What does that mean?
Like
you got so fired up with somebody, like you told them to come to your house.
Yeah.
Or you were like, no, you're like, if you want to settle this, we're going to settle it off screen.
Yes.
Like, it's going down.
So
and
that's
they're
the
like,
only part.
And they're like in Nebraska going like, how am I going to get to New York?
But nowadays, you never. Yeah. So there again, to a certain degree, if you hear your kids, and I was 18 plus. So if I'm going to have a rage war battle with the 14-year-old from Nebraska, it's on me. I'm an 18-year-old. I moved out. But if you hear your kids going banana sandwich, riding the next war in the bedroom, I'm sure you should probably go in there and be like, hey,
what's going on in here?
This is just Halo 2. Put the plasma sword down. It's going to be all right.
So,
Addy drops.
Here's an interesting question.
Never did anything with it.
No one ever showed up. Yeah, they're like, oh, I'm right down the street. Let's do this. Yeah.
Thankfully, no. I was like, oh.
And never have, like, you find out it's your friend from school. And you're like, wait a minute.
We're still fighting.
Yeah. You guys haven't talked since. Yeah. So,
you've never heard of that?
What's that?
Addy drop?
I've never heard it said that way, I don't guess. No. But, like, I played Halo. So
that was just one of them. That was just one example.
So here's an interesting gamer fact about me.
Okay.
I play World of Warcraft.
Yes.
That makes me a super nerd, as it were.
No,
in the world of video games.
Never gotten into that one.
A super nerd. So that's the only real online gaming that I've done for the most part is play World of Warcraft. World of Warcraft came out in 2004, the end of 2004. I started playing it at the middle of 2006, and I've pretty much been a World of Warcraft player since then.
Same character?
No.
Have you ever bought and sold your characters?
No. So okay. It's against terms. No, it's against the end user license agreement, so I can't say that.
At some point, though, you could have, right?
No, not really any of my characters. The things that got bought and sold back in the day back when eBay was a thing, like people were selling their accounts and stuff, it was because they had like a super rare item or the trading card game came out and there were things that you could get via the trading card game that you could
World of Warcraft trading card game?
Yeah. So like Magic the Gathering and those kind of games, right? So there was a World of Warcraft one, and it had like in-game rewards that you could get as like rares in the pack, right? Like super rares. And so like if you got one of those, you could either sell the card, right? Or if you like just didn't know and you used the card and then you found out that it was super rare, you could just sell your account to somebody. because they wanted the thing, right?
Right. They wanted the card that you activated.
Yeah, they wanted the mount in game or whatever that they could only get via the trading card game, and you have it, so they would just buy your account. But I never did anything like that. I never had any of that kind of stuff. There was like some weapons and stuff back in the day that like people really wanted, and so they would buy accounts, or if you were like one of the top characters in the world of like you rated in a guild, you know what I mean, that kind of stuff. There were reasons that people bought characters, but not for the most part. That was not a real like a big huge thing. There were some that sold for like a lot of money though. Like people would buy accounts for like a lot, because even back in the day, like just getting to the max level in World of Warcraft was like a feat. You know what I mean? Like it took months. Now it takes hours. You know, like I could level a character. I could go home tonight, and before I go to bed, I could have a level 70 character. You know, like it's not that big a deal. It's crazy though.
So I'm gonna throw a curveball at you here. So we're talking about buying and selling things. This made me think of something funny as a kid when I was growing up.
Justin Fields cards.
Justin Fields cards. Yeah. What was your first? You own a business.
Like business?
What was the first thing you sold as a kid? Like, hey, you know, you want to buy my Ken Griffey Jr. baseball card, or I've got this rare jock strap that
Yeah, Michael Jordan wore.
Yeah. What was your first? And how old were you when you were bartering? I want to hear.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I didn't do a lot of buying and selling necessarily as a kid.
Okay.
We did a lot of trading.
What was your first
of
trading?
Video games. We would trade games. Like I've got Top Gun and you've got Skate or Die, and I already beat Top Gun and you already beat Skate or Die.
So I give you my Michael Jordan jockstrap, and
right,
I
we
get both
trade
of them.
games. Yeah, so you know that kind of thing. Yeah. And I win twice. We would trade games. We would
I'm quizzing you today.
Yeah. So we would definitely trade video games. Not a lot of buying and selling of video games. We would trade cards, sports cards. I probably bought and sold some sports cards when I was a kid, but not anything crazy
standing out.
Yeah, nothing that just like jumps out, you know, as like I made a really good deal on this. You know, nothing like that I remember anyway.
Do you remember creepy crawlers?
Yeah. What were those? Like I remember the thing. Were they like the things that crawled down the windows?
So you would buy this kit. It was like a little oven, like an Easy Bake oven.
Right. That's right. Yes.
The little cast irons that had.
You would make those and sell them?
I got in so much trouble. So it was 4th grade, and I think I've had sales before that were entertaining as well. But I'd make the big spiders, the little tiny guys, and I'd break them down to what costed what. The big spiders were like a quarter. Medium size were 10 cents. Man, so I would have 2 lunches or 4 or 5 Otis Spunkmeyer cookies with my lunch. And I remember the teacher calling my mom and like, some kids aren't even eating lunch anymore because your son's bringing in these creepy crawlers.
And they're using all their lunch.
And he's swindling all. And I didn't realize kids weren't eating lunch. I mean, I'm 4th grade.
Right, you didn't realize they were spending their lunch money on it. Right, yeah, I'm with you.
I don't think so, at least. But I mean, that would be very devious if so.
If
but
you did, you didn't care.
It was fun, super fun. Living like a champion in 4th grade.
Sure, that's good though.
That ended quick.
If I were going to sell something when I was a kid, like if I were going to have a business as a kid, it would have been something like looking back now, I would have done people's schoolwork for them for money.
Yeah.
That's what I would have done.
Business.
I wouldn't have done my work because I still, I didn't do I couldn't tell you. We could go ask. Some of my teachers from high school are still there. We could go talk to them right now.
Oh, you won't want to talk to mine.
On Monday, rather, not today. And they would tell you that I didn't do anything for 4 years of high school. I didn't turn in an assignment. I didn't do a project. I didn't do anything. The only thing I did was pass tests.
Ooh, yeah.
So
that's all you got to be good at.
So essentially,
for school,
my buddy's mom was our guidance counselor, and so I'm pretty sure it's because of her that I actually graduated high school. I had like a 2.5 GPA. Like, you know what I mean? It wasn't. I didn't do. I'm telling you,
You
dude,
had
I didn't.
GPAs back then?
Yeah.
We were
I'm telling
just...
you, I didn't do anything for 4 years. Well, 6 years really, because technically, like, we were at the high school in 7th grade, so 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, right? So I passed every test. So it was like he clearly knows the information, and isn't that what we're here for?
Yeah.
Right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like, I'm pretty sure it's only because of her being like, well, like, obviously you know the information. Like, I had good ACT scores, you know, like, so like extracurricular out of school tests, you know what I mean? Like the college placement tests.
What a joke all that was.
I had all that. I had everything.
SATs,
all that stuff was good.
ACT. Oh,
I never took the SAT, but yeah, I took the ACT once. A bunch of kids took it twice because they were like, I want to get a better score.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I took it one time. I got like a 25, which was like high end, middle of the pack, right? You know what I mean? Like, not quite top end, but like high end of the middle of the pack, which was good enough to get you into like most colleges, right? So like, but I wasn't going to college. I tried. I went 3 times, dropped out 3 times.
Yeah, we talked about that
So-
the first.
So I just didn't. It wasn't a thing for me, and it was all community college stuff too. It wasn't even like went off to school. You know what I mean? It was just local. So yeah, probably if I would have been getting paid to do the work, like literally getting paid, then I probably would have done other people's work for them. Like, I would have written that book report and sold it to someone else if I would have known that I could do that.
You could have had yourself
You see what I'm saying?
bags of Otis.
Does that make sense?
Cookies. Does that make sense?
We didn't have that in my school. You couldn't buy stuff like
Are not a human then.
no. So this was actually weird. When I was in school here at Freeport, one semester I went to school in Ohio. So
You had it in Ohio.
when I went to here in Freeport, it was like you bring in your $1.25 or whatever, and everybody gets the same thing. Everybody gets the same food. That's just what there
We were
is.
$1.50.
Whatever it was, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was $1.40.
$475.
I think it was $1.40 by the time I graduated school, but it was $1.25 when I started, or whatever. So like for $1.25, you got the same slice of pizza and the same peaches out of a can that every other kid got, and your choice of white or chocolate milk, right? Like white or black milk, pick one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. That's all there is. And then when I went to Ohio, the first day at lunch, I'm like walking into the cafeteria, and I like, you know, like my I had some money of my own, but like, you know, the same thing was kind of like, here's your lunch money. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like I walk in, and it's like a cafeteria. There's like options of what you can get, right? And it's like I could eat pizza every day. You know what I mean? Like, and it costs $1 per slice or whatever the deal was, right? And you could buy whatever you wanted, and then go sit down and eat it. And so, yeah. So then, for that one semester that I was in Ohio, I had like options like that. But down here at Freeport, it was just like, here's your cheeseburger. You know, like, yeah, that was it.
It's
It was
different
just-
everywhere. Every school's different.
Yeah, they didn't have like a menu essentially, right? Like a cafeteria style, buffet style situation.
We had, I think, 2 or 3 choices each day.
Yeah, that sounds about right for up there too. It wasn't just like, you know, it wasn't like fried catfish, pizza, a turkey leg. You know what I mean? It wasn't like a whole bunch of different stuff. It was just like
Ribeye.
yeah, ribeye, prime rib, mashed potatoes, and
Sweet
gravy.
potato fries.
Yeah, but it was interesting though, because like that first day I was like, wait a minute, like I don't just get like a tray of food.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because
I
like
get to choose
at
something?
Freeport, it was literally like you walked through the line and just like grabbed your tray of food, and like paid
Hey.
and left. You know what I mean? Like that was it.
The
So,
assembly line, they had it going.
Yeah.
Freeport had it going.
they got it figured out, bro. But now it's like, I don't know about there now, but like up there in Ohio, I was like, okay, this is different. Like I can just do, because like no one told me, no one trained me on this. You know what I mean? Like I'm used to just like walking in and getting a tray of food.
What do I do?
Yeah, I'm like, I'm not really sure what to do with my hands.
What do
you
I
know?
do right
yeah.
now?
So like it was really weird though. That was strange to do that. So we're gonna jump back, if that's okay.
Yeah.
To what I was discussing, World of Warcraft, and
We did go on a wild tangent
and why I was talking about that. That's basically the only kind of game that I've ever played, apart from I'll play first-person shooters, Halo, Call of Duty, those types of games, but I only like to play through the campaign. I don't like the multiplayer part. And it's just because I'm not good at it, right? Like, I'm not good at the multiplayer. Or it might just be that everyone else is better than me. Not that I'm not good necessarily, it's just they're better, right? That's really what it is.
Yeah.
I'm good, they're just better. So I don't love the online part of those types of games. I would rather just play through the story, and then I'm done with that game. I don't need to do it again.
We are opposite.
So, you don't play the campaign at all?
Okay, so for particular games. Now, some games like Elden Ring or World of Warcraft
sure.
completely different. But
Elden Ring is the story.
right.
Yeah.
If I'm slapping in Call of Duty or Halo, I'm going right to multiplayer.
Yeah, you're not even worried about like why I'm here.
No.
No, you just want to go shoot people.
Yes.
I'm terrible at it, and that's why I don't like it. I'm probably better at it now
Or zombies.
than I was. When Fortnite came out, I did
Gosh, how about
play.
kids destroying
Bro,
anybody that's crossed the threshold of 30.
I played the crap out of Fortnite. I got killed by Ninja one time.
Really?
Yep. I have a clip of it. I can show you. We could plug it in right here. I'm going to put the clip in of me getting killed by Ninja.
You will see that clip.
Yeah, no, I'm going to plug it in for sure. I'm going to put it in the thing. Because I even go... Because it was before they changed the... it was before they changed it so you couldn't see people's names. They were just like, user 24863.
Yeah.
And you had your own name. So my name was thatguyslim.tv. Because that was literally the website to get to my Twitch channel. Like, thatguyslim.tv, I bought the domain and it pointed to my Twitch channel. And so I see in the corner, Ninja kills so-and-so. And I'm like, oh, Ninja's in this lobby. Crazy, right? And I'm like, this was back when you just like built a base and sat there and waited for people to come to you.
Gosh.
Yeah. So like I was in my little base and I'm like watching this fight over here and the guy dies and you see the like the lights go up of the guy dying and it says Ninja killed so-and-so. And I was like, that was Ninja. Like he just killed that guy, right? And I saw it and I'm like, oh man, that was Ninja. Like he's right there. You know what I mean? Like I pointed it out with my voice.
Through the screen.
Yeah. I pointed at it. Yeah.
Right there.
Yeah. No, I like called it out. I was like, oh, that was Ninja.
Yeah.
And then he like comes my way and you know, I try to pump shot him or whatever and one shot him in the head and it doesn't work and he kills me. And then all of his not all, but a bunch of his people that were watching his stream like come over to my stream. Ah, you suck.
Really?
Yeah.
I hope you have that too.
Yeah. I don't know if well, it would have just been in my chat. So I could go back to the video and see it. But yeah, it was really funny though. I was like, okay. Yeah, I do suck. You're right. But we had a couple of friends that I had met through streaming that we played together and we were pretty good. I wasn't as bad at Fortnite as I was Call of Duty. But you know what it is? It's because Fortnite's third person.
Yes.
If I can see my character, it's better for me. I don't like first person for whatever reason. I don't know what it is. I don't know why it is, but I don't love it. So yeah, I don't get down with the first person shooters too much. I don't mind, like I said, Fortnite being third person. It's a little bit different, or whatever they call it. It's like third person, but like you're off to the side a little bit, you know?
Yeah.
That's fine. First person is just weird for me.
You know what's a shame? And there are ridiculous following. Destiny was so close to continuing a completely different genre. The whole thought was a first-person shooter, but
see, I actually do like Destiny.
What's it called? Where you? Come on, give me the game genre.
What? It's like an MMO.
Yeah.
Yeah. Basically, it's kind of like an MMO.
But it turned into the worst absolute grind ever, and it's the same thing. Over and over and over. I tried getting back on it. I have buddies that started playing again, and the last time I played, I just said...
So you don't like MMOs?
I do. But it's way too repetitive. They make new content. It's still...
You still have to do the old content.
Exactly the same. And I played Destiny when it was the beta.
Like the original Destiny? Like Destiny 1?
This is like
2014? Or Destiny 2?
14?
Or both. So Destiny 2, probably. No.
The first one.
Yeah, the first one, yeah.
I remember
So
still the original gun I had with a legendary was Super Pox VLO.
yeah, I played
Assault
both.
rifle.
I played both of them for a little bit. So my thing with every time I try a new type of MMO, RPG, or like any of that type of game where you're gonna have to like go in and like get involved with a group of people, like a clan or a guild or
Yeah,
whatever,
yeah.
right? And then you guys go and do stuff together.
I'm cool with that. I like that.
Well,
We have a huge clan. Your mom has raids.
Your mom has raids. I love it. That's actually amazing.
Don't use it. It's mine.
That's it's taken. It's been taken. I have a hard time. I'll just join a guild, like any random guild,
yeah.
and then like hope that guild pans out. And if it doesn't, I'll just stop playing. It's just really weird. It gives me anxiety. I actually wrote about this in our Discord server for my World of Warcraft guild. A big post about it because there's a thing in World of Warcraft called Mythic Plus, and it's the 5-man dungeons. So in Destiny, dungeons are 4-man, right? And raids are 8. Is that right? Something like that? 4 and 8?
Yes.
I think that's right. So in
Because your party is only 3.
so in
dungeon 4?
It might be 3.
It's either 3 or 4.
So in World of Warcraft, a dungeon party is 5, a tank, a healer, and 3 damage dealers. For the most part, you can
You can mix that up.
you can mix that up if you want to. Like there are some combos now that you can do 4 damage dealers instead of a healer because the damage dealers have abilities that like turn their damage into heals
Right,
and just
okay.
kind of splash heals around, and everybody can stay alive through that. So you can remove the healer component if you want to get through it faster or whatever. But for the most part, tank, healer. Well, tank's job is to take the damage. Healer's job is to keep everyone alive.
Yeah.
DPS's job is to kill the things.
Right.
So there's that, and then raiding in World of Warcraft is flexible. You could have as few as 10 people or as many as 40
Really?
in a raid group.
I didn't know that. Holy
And
cow.
so,
up to
except
40.
for in Mythic difficult, and there's different difficulties.
Okay.
Mythic difficulty is 20. That's it, 20.
That's all you can have.
You can have less, but it doesn't change anything, right? So like in normal and heroic raids, if you have 10, then the boss's health is a proportionate to
Right,
10
to how
people.
many people you have.
Right. So if you add to 20, then the boss's health goes up to
Where
so
Mythic,
where 20 would be.
it is what it is.
Mythic is 20. 20 people, nothing change. If you go in with 18, like
Same
you
health.
could, but the same amount of damage has to be done, right? And the boss's abilities do the same amount of damage, so everything is the same no matter what.
Right. Makes no sense to not go with 20.
Correct. So in Mythic, in dungeons, there's the same thing. There's normal difficulty, heroic difficulty, Mythic difficulty, and then there's what's called Mythic Plus.
Mm-hmm.
And Mythic Plus dungeons are when you complete a Mythic, they call it Mythic Zero, a Mythic Zero dungeon, you get a key. And it'll be like a Mythic Plus 2, right? So it'll be a little bit harder than the
do the
Mythic
next-
Zero.
the next run.
Right. So then you go into Mythic Plus 2 and you do that, and you might get like a Mythic Plus 5 key because you did it fast, right? So you go in, and then you go do the plus 5 and you finish it and you get a plus 7, right? And you just can keep
going.
climbing. And you don't know what dungeon you're gonna get. It's random which dungeon you're gonna get, and that key only opens that dungeon, right? So anyway, I say all that to say that the idea of me going into the group finder and looking for a group of people to do Mythic Plus dungeons with is the most anxiety ridden.
Really?
Like, I just can't do it. And there's no like push a button and say I'm a healer and it just puts you in a group with people. Like, you have to look at the list, right? And it'll be like Mythic Plus 20s, right? And then there'll be like there's a Mythic Plus 12, like I might could do that. They need a healer, but then I'm like, like what if I do bad? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
And it's just like, it's just so overwhelming for me to even I don't even do it. I told people in my guild, because they were like, if you're gonna want to raid with us, like this is kind of a blanket statement, right? Like if you want to raid with us, then you have to be like progressing your character outside of raid as well. And I'm like, well, I'm not going to do that. Like, the only way I'm going into Mythic Pluses is if it's a group of people from this guild. Like, that's the only way I'm going to do it. And so, like, I've finally now got them trained to where, like, I'll be like, hey guys, like, I have this key, and they'll be like, okay, like, let's go do, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And so,
You keep the group.
because before it was just like, I would just log in for raid. Because back in the day, sorry, let's move on.
No.
It's anxiety ridden is the point. It's terrible.
It's overwhelming. You have tons.
It's overwhelming.
You have to filter through a lot of things. If you get in there and you're bad, and then you don't make it all the way through,
well, and it's like
you've just wasted time.
It's
you
instant.
think about that.
You're wasting everyone else's time too,
right?
And it's instantly negative in your brain if you sign up for something and you get denied.
Right.
Like, that's bad.
Can't do it.
It's negative feedback after negative feedback after negative so like, and there's no way to know unless you've done it. There's no way to know what key level you can do,
right,
unless you've done one, right? So like, I don't know if I can do a plus 20 because I've never done a plus 20, but maybe I can. I don't know. Do I sign up for a plus 20 and then get immediately denied? Or do I sign up for a plus 20, get accepted, and screw up the whole time, and then everyone, you know what I mean? And so, like, it's just rough, man. There's a lot of that goes. I literally, like, will open the menu, look at it, like, I'll even go through it and, like, okay, I need, like, this is like what I'm looking for. See if I can find something that looks like what I'm looking to do, and then I'll just close the menu.
Bro, I think I could actually feel you winding up a little bit talking about it.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah,
it literally gives me anxiety. Mm-hmm. And I made a post about it in Discord. I was like I'm just not gonna do it. Like, I'm not going to Pug.
Not gonna do it. Not gonna do it.
I'm not gonna plug Mythics. Like, I'm just not going to. And but day before yesterday, I had on my monk healer, I had a plus 10 key. And so we got in a group and we did my plus 10.
And how are you at plus 10? Is it...
So it bases your first key for the week. Every Tuesday, the week resets. The whole game resets on Tuesdays.
Yeah. The weekly reset.
Yeah. So there's actually a World of Warcraft podcast called
Destiny
The Weekly Reset.
Then.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, if you've done keys the previous week, you'll automatically get a key on Tuesday.
To the next one.
Right? And it'll be based on where you ended on a Tuesday. Club going up. So it'll be based on where you ended the previous week. So if you, like, did a 19 this week, on Tuesday you might get, like, a 17 key. Right? Something like that. If you didn't do a key, you can just go to the little NPC character and be like, hey, I lost my key. And they'll just give you one. And it'll be kind of based on, I guess, maybe your item level, like your character's strength or whatever, right? Because I haven't done Mythic Pluses in a while, so I don't know. Maybe it did base it on, like, the highest one I've done or something in the past. I don't know how they do that. But it gave me a plus 10. We did the plus 10. That gave me a plus 12. We did the plus 12. That gave me a plus 15. We did the plus 15.
No issues?
No. We did the plus 17 that came after that last night. We did the plus 17 that night too. That gave me a plus 19. So last night we went to do the plus 19 and it was doomed from the start.
Oh,
not because of me. The people, so there's a thing called, basically it's a rating system that tells people, like, what you've done, what you've completed within the time frame, because they have time limits that you have to beat the key, right?
I'm familiar.
So it'll tell you who's done what, and you can pick your group based on that, right? If someone signs up to be in your group and they've only ever done a plus 10,
right,
whatever, then you're probably not going to invite them to your plus 19, right? Well, we invited these people to the group and they were like garbage. It was bad. So you can just leave the instance, disband the group essentially, and your key will go down one level, and then you can start over. So we did that. We dropped it to an 18. Went back in with a new group. 3 of us were the same. 2 people were different, and we cleared that one in time. And what sucks is with that group, we probably would have done the 19 in time too.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
But the first group that we put together sucked. So then I got, because we dropped it to an 18. We did it in time. I got a plus 19 again. So we might try to do that tonight. I don't know. We'll see. So
I think we need to have a whole podcast on
just
World
on
of
World of
Warcraft.
Warcraft. Yeah, this would be a World of Warcraft
I'll bring my
podcast
notebook.
in no time. Yeah, you could take notes. Well, if you want to watch me do
I
a
do
World
occasionally
of Warcraft
watch you, man.
podcast, I do stream sometimes.
I
on
do
Twitch
occasionally
and on
watch you.
Facebook.
You know that.
I know.
Go Bills.
I don't want to hear
Go
it.
Bills. But we will, the 2 of us, we will have a podcast.
We should play a game together.
Let's wait till Diablo 4 comes out.
Oh yeah, we'll definitely play Diablo 4
Yeah,
together.
yeah.
Yeah, especially if it's cross-platform.
I think
because
it
you're
is
going to play on
cross-platform.
PS5, right?
Yes.
And I'm definitely going to play on my PC, and I'm pretty sure that it is cross-platform. So we'll definitely play
Yes.
Diablo 4 together.
Yes.
Yeah, and it'll be like a freshwater perspective event.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll stream
get
it and
wild.
everything.
We'll get
Yeah, it'll be
wild.
fun. We could definitely stream it. It'll be good. Yeah. So what else, man? I talked about World of Warcraft way too much. You need to talk about something. What's your game addiction? Madden?
Oh yeah.
Is Madden you're like, I can't live without it?
It gave. So, don't even get me started on
No, I
that.
want you to talk about Madden a little bit. What's your favorite version of Madden? What's the best
new ones
Madden?
are so terrible.
Are they?
They feel like the
I thought you were gonna
games
say
are
great, dude. That was awesome.
predetermined. There are abilities and things that you have to play them. Okay, in concept, Madden is awesome. Do I love playing Madden? Yes.
Yeah.
Do I love the camaraderie of playing in a league? Absolutely. But
So you have like a league of like 32
teams.
that you play in
yes,
with
very
with
competitive.
32 other players.
Yes,
And that's actually really cool.
Today
and
was
you're
awful.
obviously you're the Dolphins, right?
I'm the Dolphins.
Yeah, I knew it. Yeah.
I had to pay to get the Bills.
Oh gosh.
I paid somebody to get the
Man,
Bills.
that's crazy.
Um,
So how does that work actually now that you mention it? How do you get 32 people together and then is it just like random people that
No.
it puts you with? You had to find people like in a message board or on a Facebook group or something?
so this league's been around for a while.
Okay.
Probably prior to me being in it, somewhere in 2015 or before. A bunch of my buddies from Oklahoma were in it, and they invited me to play. And I got into it, and I'll never forget to this day. I got beat by a guy named Fat Gary. They call him.
Oh gosh.
Over 100 points. It might have been Madden 2015 or 16.
He put an absolute stomping on you,
I think
huh?
I got a field goal.
Dude.
So I've been in the same league since then.
Yeah,
A lot
they
of
didn't kick
users
you out
have
of the league.
changed.
They were like, we need to keep him around. So
Most people that get stomped that bad leave anyway,
yeah, that's true.
but I hung around.
That's true.
So there are a lot of different users that came and went, but some of the same old OGs, if you will, are in the league. But it's every 3-day advance. We go through a season, Super Bowl, and we continue on. We do the draft, the whole 9 yards. But to team select, the last season we play counts. So if you
Okay.
play whatever you place will count towards your selection.
Mm,
Now, previous Super Bowl winners already are high up on that mark.
sure. So what does that mean? It counts. Like if you played through this season and you finished, like you went to the Super Bowl and lost. What does that mean for you next season? As far as like you get to pick, your team like second, because you were the second place person in the league, or how does that?
No, because I didn't win a Super Bowl.
But you were the second place.
So we might make it through like 10 seasons in a game, in a copy.
Okay.
So if you made the Super Bowl 3 times and you're the only one that's made the Super Bowl 3 times and won, they're going to be the first to select.
So if you have your team, for this iteration of the game.
This copy.
Gotcha. So you have your Bills
In
for
our league.
all of Madden 2020,
In that league.
2022 or 2023 or whatever.
And there's
it's out.
so many leagues.
Yeah, sure. I'm just worried about. I don't know how any of this works, so I'm worried about what your group does. So
we
that's
probably
cool.
have like 2 or 3 seasons left.
Okay.
So if I haven't made any Super Bowls, the last season's important.
Right.
Even if I don't make the Super Bowl, if I finish and make the playoffs, I'm
Yeah.
still probably going to be in the top quarter
Sure.
of team selection.
Gotcha.
'cause-
And so then everything wipes essentially,
Yeah.
and everyone loses their team,
Yes.
and everyone goes and buys the new game,
Yes.
and you start with the best team.
Whoever.
The best person gets to pick their team
yes.
first.
Yes.
Gotcha.
And I bought
And they pick the Chiefs,
normally.
and then, and then the next person picks whomever. I see. The Dolphins, probably.
Ravens, Chiefs, Dolphins are
Dolphins
up
are
there
going
now.
to get picked, yeah.
They have Tyreek Hill has 99 speed. So does Waddle.
Yeah, and they just signed Robbie Anderson, too. Did you know that?
And he has like 95, 96 speed.
Chosen Anderson is his name now.
He's crazy, man.
Yeah, they just signed him.
Um,
And I saw today that they're in pretty big talks with Dalvin Cook, which is interesting.
oh gosh.
Yeah, which is very interesting because I wanted Dalvin Cook to go to the Dolphins when he came out of Florida State, but he didn't. He went
Guess
to
how
the
many
Vikings.
hours I had in Elden Ring I beat, and how many hours I currently have in this Madden.
Okay, how many hours you had in Elden Ring when you beat it?
Yeah.
247.
Nope. So I had 120 something in
That was
Elden
about
Ring.
double. That's too many. I was way too high. If
Now
I
guess
doubled
Madden.
it. In Madden total in your life?
Just this copy.
When did this copy come out? Like November, September? When does it come out?
August, September of last
Yeah,
year.
okay. I figured it was a fall release, like late summer, early fall release. Okay, I would say you have 1,200 hours.
Oh god. 347.
Oh,
I'm glad I
I
don't
was
have
way
I'm
over.
glad I don't have 1,200 hours. It made me feel better.
In World of Warcraft, you can do like slash played of how many hours you've put into a character. And my initial character that I made, which I still have, I just don't play it anymore. It had like 247 days or something of playtime. At one point, so that's a lot. Yeah.
and that's okay. If you put all my
time in
games
a game.
together, I'm
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. And but that's the thing, right? When you take into consideration that World of Warcraft is pretty much the only thing I play,
right.
it makes sense that I put that many hours into it.
Yeah.
If I was also playing Apex Legends or
Fortnite, Madden,
or right? If I was splitting my time now, when Diablo 4 comes out, I will split my time a little bit. Diablo 4 will be like off raid night game, and then World of Warcraft will be raid night. When we raid, I'll play World of Warcraft. But
hey, I'm cool to set a schedule. For Destiny we used to.
yeah, you have to. Like that's how
Especially with
guilds
kids.
work. Raids work in World of Warcraft that way. Like you don't just, hey, we've got 20 people online. Let's go play. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
you have to say no on Tuesdays and Wednesdays or whatever days. Like at this time to this time. Like this is when the group gets together to play. If you can't make it, let us know ahead of time so we
Yeah.
can find. You know what I mean? Like you have to be structured. With
We
that
got to
kind of
schedule our
stuff,
games
so.
in Madden, and every game is like
Yeah, for
40
sure.
minutes to an hour, and you got to stream it.
You have to stream it
Yeah,
so
to
everyone
get-
else can see. Oh, because so that you can prove that it was.
Well, we do streams because we incentivize it. If you stream it, you get +2 to a player,
I see.
and it has to save. So if someone wants to scout you, double-edged sword.
I see.
I stream. I take the +2 all day.
Yeah, for sure. Why not? Might as well. What do you mean someone wants to scout you? What does that mean?
So the stream records, and they can watch your gameplay.
Yeah. But what would they do with that information?
Watch all your
Oh,
plays.
they're just seeing how you play.
Yeah.
I understand.
Yeah.
I understand. Yeah. So that when it comes, well, I mean, that's how real football works.
Yes.
So, yeah, I mean, yeah.
Maybe not as
They have
extreme,
game
but-
film.
right?
So, yeah. Yeah, they have game film. But yeah, they don't have, like, I'm
Show
sure
you
no
the-
one in your league has, like, a team of people that they play, or that they pay to watch your game film and, like, come back and give them,
You
like.
never know.
They
You
might,
never
but I
know.
would-
People pay for some silly stuff
Yeah.
in our league.
There's probably a whole category on Fiverr of like people that watch people's
People cash app each other
Yeah.
in our league all the time.
yeah people watch people's videos or streams so they can figure out and do like player breakdowns on your team.
You want to talk about Addy Drop?
Oh.
Addy Drop has happened maybe 2 or 3 times in our
Oh,
league in
geez.
this copy of guys that know each other.
I was gonna say, and in this case, it's a little bit different now because now you literally could just like go buy a $60 Spirit Airlines plane ticket and like show up on somebody's
yeah.
doorstep, and
Yeah.
it's like now I've got throwaway money. You know what I mean? Like a little bit. Like we got money to play with, bro. I can buy a plane ticket and come to your house if you be addy dropping
It
on me,
gets
bro.
heated.
That's too much.
Yeah.
That is too much. Oh man, I'm
I
actually
lost
interested
twice today.
in that how that whole Madden thing works. That's kind of crazy. I didn't realize that it was like that.
When you want to build a team, it's fun.
Yeah. So I have one more. Go
That's
ahead.
fun.
The building of the team.
Yes.
Yeah, I bet it is because you can because you said you guys do a draft, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like you could get players that aren't on the team in real life,
Right.
essentially, right?
Yeah.
Do you start from 0 in the draft, or do you start with the base team?
You start what your team has to begin with.
Gotcha.
So you
Okay.
start the year.
But
that-
then you can trade and you can
all of
yeah,
that.
Yeah, all of that.
There's rules for trading. There's
There's rules. I don't like rules. I'm an anti-rules guy. I don't love that. What was the one other thing I wanted to ask you about? Oh, this was it. If you would have known now, or if you would have known then, what you know now about video games and how you could make a living as a video game player, would that have been a consideration to you as a young adult, 18 to 25-ish? Like, if Twitch would have been as big of a thing as it is. If you remember back when we were kids, when we were younger, there was a thing on, I don't know if it was on MTV or something, where they did like major Madden tournaments and the payouts were like $1 million,
Yeah.
right? Like it was like a big deal. Like they played the final game like on one of the big screens in Times Square. Do you remember that?
yeah.
Yeah. So like they might still do that. I don't know. But like knowing now knowing then what you know now, would you have like pursued a career, quote unquote, as like a professional gamer? Would that have been something that was on your radar, do you think?
No.
No?
And I'll tell you why.
I want to know why.
I love people too much. So I'm a socializer.
So you don't want to addy drop people.
Or I used to be a socializer more. It's different now with kids, but.
Sure.
And number 2, I loved fitness too much. So I couldn't pull enough from my bucket to ever get fully engaged and train in the game world. And I don't think I would go back and do it. If I had to choose one thing differently, I would go back to my high school football days, not have a girlfriend,
Oh yeah, for
or
sure.
I'd go back to my high school days in
Is that
general.
because you got her pregnant or something? Or?
No,
No.
just it was a distraction and
Yeah,
focus
for sure.
more on fitness.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting.
So, nope.
Have you ever wanted to be, now that it's more prominent, this is a follow-up to the previous question, right? Now that it's more prominent to be these types of things, have you ever wanted to be a fitness influencer? Like a James Smith type character, right? Do you know who James Smith is?
No.
Oh my gosh, I've got to send you some of his videos. He's the best.
I have to also go with no.
No, you wouldn't want to do that?
I had more. This is gonna all sound cheesy, but I had more interest changing people's lives.
Yeah, well, you can
And
do that.
You can on a large scale, but
Sure.
are you involved enough?
But you want to be the personable,
Yes.
yeah, you want to be in their face a little more.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got you. That's fair.
And that's why I still love fitness and I still help folks out. But again, this is a whole other conversation. We have one bucket
Yeah,
and we take a ladle of water out of that bucket.
sure.
And I've got 4 kids that are taking out enough
Yeah,
water
people
from
are
my
spilling
bucket.
your bucket all over the damn place.
I've got the business taking water out of my bucket.
Yeah,
So it's very limited in my social life, very limited in as far as how much further can I stretch Gary to be what
Yeah.
ultimately we all want to be.
you
And that-
want Gary to be
Yeah.
right. Yeah,
and that's us still too.
yeah,
The kids bucket is going to be obviously most important when I get down to it. And I think we all do what we do as dad or mom. We all hope is for them eventually.
sure. I'll
At
tell
least
you what,
us.
I would.
At least us.
I'll answer my question.
Shaq said,
I would have.
Shaq said, I'm rich.
Yeah, you're not. Yeah.
I'm okay with that in the sense
Yeah,
that they
yeah.
have to earn it. But come
Well,
on, man. Shaq, you pass away, you better send that along.
Well, it's Steve Harvey says the same thing, right?
Yeah, I agree to it.
And he, you know, and there's and I do too, to an extent, right? Like,
Yes.
just because I'm rich doesn't mean you're rich, like,
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm not rich, but you know what I'm saying. Like,
Yeah.
just because I do well or whatever doesn't mean that we all doing well.
Right.
Like, you have to have some responsibility too, especially when it gets to the point of Shaquille O'Neal and Steve Harvey. Those guys have FU money, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Buy
you
everybody's stuff at Walmart money.
you should, right?
Big time.
You shouldn't just, you can, but in my opinion, you shouldn't just give someone FU money,
No.
because that's not healthy. And I think that when you have that kind of money, you realize that having that kind of money can be detrimental, and
think
to a
you can
lot
tell
of
that,
people
too.
it is. So I think that the people who are smart definitely aren't just going to give their children all of that. Now, they might set them up for success,
Right.
but they're not going to just give them the farm, essentially, right? Like, hey, here's the blueprint of how I did it. Here's a little bit of get started money, right? Like, now you have to go do it yourself. LeBron's kids are probably going to be a little bit different, right? Like, for one of them's already going to be.
Yeah. They're going to earn their own.
He's going to be as rich or whatever as his dad, so they're going to be bringing plenty of their own to the table. But you know, I think that not giving it all away like that is a smart move. I don't think just giving your kids billions essentially is a good idea. There's a lot of people. Gary Vee talks about this a lot. There's a lot of kids of success, financially successful people who are just, you know, you wouldn't think this, but they're just the most unhappy people because they don't feel like
everything.
they didn't have to do.
Right.
So they don't know you don't know what you are if you never had to go and figure it out, right? You don't know who you are as a person if you didn't have to go and find out who you are as a person. And when you're given $1 billion, you don't have to know anything about life. It just is what it is, you know?
Yeah.
You can just Hunter Biden your way through it or whatever, you know? That was terrible. But it's true. Like, you could just do it. You could just snort coke off of hookers' butts or whatever.
Oh,
you know?
yeah.
And it's fine. So you wouldn't go back. You wouldn't pursue a video gamer or an influencer in any type of fashion, probably.
If it happened organically, I would appreciate it.
Sure.
I think if I had a YouTube channel earlier, or even in real estate started that earlier, I think it'd be great to monetize some of that.
Yeah.
Um,
So if it would have happened, you wouldn't have been against it necessarily.
right.
But
yes.
you wouldn't have pursued it as like, this is what my career is going
I don't
to
think
be.
I ever would have.
I don't know that I would have pursued it as a career either, now that I break it down that way. But it would have been cool. Like, I did a decent amount of
Because who would have really known?
Yeah.
Mr. Beast, did he really know?
He didn't know. No, he didn't know. There's a moment in his life, I'm sure, where he realized.
Right.
But it didn't. Yeah, but it wasn't a thing he knew ahead of time, I would imagine. Ninja too, right? Like, you know, Ninja was a Halo player that just he was right place, right time, right? He already had some followers when Fortnite came out, and when Fortnite came out, he just was so good at it.
Right.
Like, immediately good at it that he climbed to the top of the attention graph, essentially, right? And I think that's... People don't realize that that's how it works. That, like, not everyone can be that guy.
No. 1%.
Ninja was literally in the perfect place at the perfect time. If he would have been... You know, if he would have been 2 weeks later starting playing Fortnite, it would have been a completely different thing. You know what I mean? Because, like, someone else would have taken the top spot.
Right.
Because he was there immediately, and he already had a little bit of a following from his Halo days, it went nuts, right? The match to the whatever, you know?
The fuel.
Yeah, there you go. Match to the fuel, yeah. And it just blew up. And then there was the whole playing with Drake or whatever thing that happened. That was a big deal. he was like growing in popularity, and then he did a live stream of him playing Fortnite with Drake,
Oh, okay.
and that had like it was like the most watched stream on
Hands
Twitch
down.
in ever, yeah, at the time. So yeah, that was a big deal. But yeah, but like I said, if it would have happened to me organically, like you said, I think that I would play more. I know that.
Mm-hmm.
If I had like more followers or whatever, like I would spend more time making content and things, which is kind of why I like doing stuff like this. Like I'm not expecting us to be the
Right.
next Joe Rogan
Yeah.
experience, but like
We are though.
but we will. But I don't expect us to. I just know that we will. But I enjoy the making.
Joe Rogan will kick both of our asses, by the way.
Oh, I know. But he doesn't know where I live because I didn't Addy drop him. So
you're right.
remember,
Yeah.
he could probably find my business pretty easily. But
Yeah, he could find my. He could find exactly where I live.
yeah, he could find out where we are. But I think Joe Rogan and I would get along. I think we'd be great
I
friends.
think I'd get along with him as well.
Yeah.
That's one thing I would have definitely chose. I
What's
would have
that?
loved to be a comedian.
A comedian?
Now in my later
Did you
life,
ever try to be a comedian?
no,
No. So yeah, that's good. That's great. Yeah.
I was the class clown, but
Sure.
that's one thing I enjoyed. If I had a choice to do something different, that's probably what I would have enjoyed.
Yeah, being a comedian. Yeah, people don't. What I was going to say a minute ago, I think that's a good thing too. I could have been. I think I would have been a decent comedian too, but I would have been like a. You know who Matt Rife is? He's pretty popular right now. He does jokes like scripted jokes, but a lot of his content is him bantering with the crowd, right? That's what I would be good at, right? Like not necessarily scripted jokes, but like a leading in with a joke that the crowd,
Right.
right, like that you
You
ask
engage them with
and then
it.
you engage the crowd and then you go from there, right? That's what I would be good at, I think. Or maybe not now because I've calmed down a lot, but in my younger years I would have been good at that. But people don't realize how difficult it is. How difficult it is to become that
In any
one,
genre.
in anything.
Yeah.
That one thing, like the one guy, the ninja, the LeBron, the whatever, right? Like
The Jim Kelly.
the Jim Kelly. Who's Jim Kelly?
Who's Jim Kelly?
The that type of
Yes.
the best essentially, right? The top of your genre of
Real
whatever the
estate
thing
brokers,
is.
real
Yeah,
estate agents,
Sure.
business owners,
everything. It's
Bill Gates.
It's almost impossible. But another thing that we have a problem with, and we're gonna have to wrap up soon, but another thing that we have a problem with as a society is like, what does successful mean?
Right.
Right. We
should
talked
have
about
talked more
earlier-
about that today.
We leaned into that a little bit earlier of like successful doesn't necessarily mean $1 million in the bank. And why is $1 million the number? Why is that?
It
Do
isn't
you
to
know
me.
why? But it's like it's like that's like the number, right? Like that's the number that people always go to. Like it's like the Austin Powers $1 million. You know what I mean? Like $1 million. Yeah, it was very Deckard Cain of us. But you know what I'm saying? Like, why is that the thing? Why is that the?
Is it still though?
I think it's still in a lot of people's minds. $1 million is like the moment that you're like, okay, I did it. That might not be the goal, like the end goal, but it's like, okay, now I've made it, right? Like we're gonna continue to grow, but $1 million is the made it point. But the top,
I think people that think that way are limiting themselves.
they sure are. But did you know that the top 1% of people, I think it's actually 5%, top 5% of people in this country make over $400,000 a year? $400,000 a year puts you in the top 5% of wage earners in the United States. It might even be 1%, but it's really, really high, right? So why is $1 million, which is over double that, the number that everybody thinks they're supposed to have in the bank? You know what I mean?
Oh, in the bank?
Nobody makes $1 million. You know what I mean? Like literally nobody makes $1 million. When you really break it down, like it's impossible to. I always tell people it's impossible. It's literally impossible to become a quarterback on a professional NFL team. It's impossible.
I can tell you somebody right now that will. That's in our league. Kane Archer. Look him up.
Yeah. Here's the thing. You take a place like where we live, right? And you have
Biloxi, Mississippi.
Mississippi, and you have in the Tri-County, Bay, Walton, Okaloosa, right? You have 50 high schools that at any given moment have.
Is there 50?
I don't know. I'm just saying,
Okay.
right? Like I'm just guesstimating. Well, there's Mosley, Bay, Panama City Christian. There's Freeport, Walton, South Walton, Paxton. They don't have a football team, so we'll take them
The
back.
baseball team.
We're talking about
Really
NFL
good.
quarterbacks.
I know, but I hear they're good.
Their basketball team's always good. I don't know about their baseball team, maybe. So then in Okaloosa, you have Choctaw, Crestview, Fort Walton Beach High School. Now they have Destin High School. I probably missed some in Bay County. Bozeman is the one over there, so that's 11. I know I didn't miss any in Walton County. So let's say 15 instead of 50. I said 15. What did you think I said? 50?
You said 50.
You thought I said 50?
You said
That's
50.
really
you
weird.
said 500.
15.
14,000.
So that means any given year, you have 15 starting quarterbacks
Right.
that are leaving as a senior,
go to
probably,
college,
right?
hopefully.
Assuming they're all seniors, to go to college. Probably only 5 of them actually get an offer to go on a
Maybe.
scholarship,
Maybe.
right? Right. I'm being
Yeah.
I'm being aggressive here. Like 5 might, right? So let's say those 5 go play at 5 different schools,
Right.
which means one of them's going to go to Florida State, one of them's going to go to UF, one of them's going to go to the University of Alabama Birmingham,
Yeah.
right? One of them's going to go to Northwest Florida, like Pensacola, whatever that is over there, the Argonauts, right? And one of them's going. So the only 2 that really have a shot at being somebody on big screen TV are the 2 that go to Florida State and University of Florida.
Yeah.
Right. So now you've broken down those 15 down to 2, right? And now, of all those colleges in the world that all have a starting quarterback, only 32 of them could possibly, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Could possibly start in the NFL on any given day,
Right.
right? Any given Sunday. So, like, you're talking about taking a populace, and that's just in the 3 counties next to us.
Right.
That's not considering even the whole Panhandle, South Alabama, South Georgia. All those kids are competing for the same schools.
South Alabama is the Panhandle.
True. But you know what I mean? Even into Mississippi a little bit, like all those kids are all competing for the same spots on the same college football teams. And then all of those kids are all competing for the same spot on the same NFL team. It's literally impossible
That's
to
one
become.
way to break it down.
You know
for
what I
sure.
mean?
Yeah.
And that's the same thing. It goes the same way for everything.
And which
right?
one of those kids has somebody that's encouraging them through, or
Yeah.
coach has the coaching, the proper structure behind them?
Right.
Who has
and
the
then
money
you,
for it
and then you
all?
give them, some of these kids come from so poverty stricken
Yeah.
areas that when you do give them the shot to go into the college or whatever,
They have no
they don't know how to
idea.
act.
They don't know how to
Right?
handle
So
it.
like you're now they can get paid in college. That's
Yeah.
going to have to be an episode.
Yeah.
How we think that's going to change.
As long as it helps the Buffalo Bills.
True. But yeah, man, it's just impossible to. They say, oh, you can be whatever you want when you're a kid, and that's just blowing smoke.
Right.
It's not true.
Yeah,
you can't.
yeah.
We should be more honest with people. Like, you can't just be whatever you want. It's not true. Like, some people just have
Right.
to be tile setters. You know what I mean? Like, you can't just be, well, I want to be the next LeBron. Well, sorry, kid.
You can play basketball.
You're not going to be the next LeBron.
You can be a doctor.
Yeah,
You can be a coach.
sure.
You can play football. You can play
You
basketball.
could be basketball adjacent,
You can play Fortnite.
but you might not be a NBA player,
You
right?
might-
Like, you could be, you could use the fact that you were the best quarterback in the Tri-County area and it got you into Florida State, and you were the starting quarterback one season at Florida State before another kid came in and took your spot, right? But you graduated from Florida State with a degree in sports medicine.
Right.
Right. And now you can go and be a doctor on the team or something to that effect, but you're probably not going to be in the NFL. Like, it's just not like a player.
Right.
Now, I'd take the practice squad money.
I'd
Right?
take any of it.
You know what I mean? Like, I'd be on a practice squad. That'd be cool. But yeah, it's just, I think we give people like oh yeah, you can be anything. Oh, you sure? You just got to go out there and practice hard every day. No, it's not true.
Well, okay. So you can choose a path and you can be incredibly good at what that path you took.
Sure.
But you still have to be right place, right time. And
Sure.
I think you have to be
And-
attuned to yourself,
Sure. Self-awareness is big.
tuned to yourself and what's going around you to be able to trust your gut and to make a change or to pursue something when that opportunity arises, because people have it happen all the time
Yeah.
and they don't see it happen. They're not aware of
Excuse
it.
me.
And I would say the rest of the 99% of the people are not aware of it.
Yeah.
One game for Ninja, different, like you
Yeah.
said.
Yeah. If we started the next day, things might have been different. You know, who knows? My pastor today at church
There's a little
told
bit of
this
juju.
told
and-
this
and
story. Yeah, for
faith
sure.
and-
Yeah, for sure. So told this story today. I mean, and I've heard him talk about it before a little bit, but you know, he talked about how when he was a kid, he played baseball, right? And there were only like 4 teams in Destin, you know what I mean, in the little league,
Right.
the little league or whatever, you know. But he made the All-Star team like 3 years in a row, and so he was like, "I'm gonna be, you know, I'm gonna play in the majors.
I'm going to be
You know
Cal
what I mean?
Ripken.
And then when he went off to high school after elementary school or whatever in Destin, because Destin didn't have high school, he went off to high school. Now he's competing with all these other kids from the Fort
yeah.
Walton area and
Yeah.
all this different stuff, right? And so he said he tried out for like baseball, football, golf. You know what I mean? Like he tried out
Whatever
for
he
like
could.
4 or 5 different sports, and he didn't make any of the teams, right? Because now he's competing against all these kids that are just better,
Yeah.
right? And so like he didn't make any of the teams. So he ended up running cross country, right? He made it on the cross country team. So he ran cross country, and he was like top 25 All-American in cross country, right? His like 9th and 10th grade year of high school. Well, then all the other kids hit a growth spurt, right?
Yeah,
and they got taller and longer and had longer strides, and he didn't grow. He's capped out, right? He was as big as he was going to be. So they all got faster than him because now their strides are longer, right? Well, now he thinks he's going to be this great runner, and now all of a sudden he's not, because he was great at 9th and 10th grade, but when the other kids grew, he's not even good anymore.
Right,
You know what I mean? Like he's barely even good. So like just because you're good at it now doesn't mean that the other people aren't going to get better than you. He could go out and run every single day and still not be as good as the next guy that's just built different. Right? You know what I mean?
This has excited you, sir.
Yeah. But I mean, but it's like a thing that we tell people that's inaccurate. You know what I mean? Like we hype these kids up sometimes into like, you know, oh yeah, you
Well-
can go and do this thing, and it's like my body type doesn't lend itself to me being a professional basketball player. Even if I had the best jump shot in the game, I'm still not going to be on an NBA team.
Hey, but that just goes back to everybody's their own individual.
Yeah.
So some people are realist
Yeah, and self-aware,
and self-aware,
and some people are just
and
not.
some folks would love to push a square peg through a round hole.
Yeah,
No
you
matter
gotta
what.
spit on it.
So, what?
There's tricks to that.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you know what I mean?
And I think a lot of that just goes back down to who we are. And again, I don't want to just say the part about being a chameleon, but if you are aware enough
Yeah,
of
you
yourself,
can float. Yeah,
of your kids, of the time you have in a day to make an impact on all of these things as well. It's never perfect. I mean,
no.
if I'm aware enough, I wouldn't be here right now.
Like
Maybe
here,
I would be
like right
doing
here?
something absolutely mind-blowing for the world, right? Because I've earned enough income to be able to do things different. right?
Sure.
So I wouldn't be here. So if I was aware enough, or good enough, or genetically gifted enough, I wouldn't be right here talking with you.
Oh,
So, there can't be a million millionaires.
no.
We're not set up that way. We can talk about government.
Ooh, we could.
The United States of America is in debt
to.
to China. It's going to be clear one day, past our generations, that the U.S. can't make the money they can.
Yeah, of
Things are
course.
going to change on a large scale for our civilization to continue. And I want no part of that discussion. I want no part.
I don't want to be involved.
My bucket is too full or too empty at this point, but I think even you,
Yeah.
if you're aware enough and if you were right place, right time perfectly or synced right up in that
Yeah.
part of reality, you would be somewhere else doing whatever you'd want.
That's true.
Um,
Like I tried to do stuff. I tried to move away. I tried to go do other things. And it didn't work out.
in the same breath, we could sit here and talk about I believe in religion and I believe in God, but we could also say how many different galaxies are there? How many Garys are there? If we wanted to go down the
Multiverse in
road,
it, bro.
I mean, you really
We can multiverse it.
Gary
I'm down.
Jennings Jr. or somewhere else
Number
could be
7,
7'4" and
You could.
dunking over George Mirasan and some other players.
Crazy, bro.
Anyway,
It's crazy. It's crazy.
but I agree with you. I think any profession,
Yeah.
basketball, football, and how we discuss it with our kids,
And I'm not saying that people shouldn't strive to be great. That's not what I'm getting at.
right.
What I'm saying is we shouldn't lie to people.
Yeah.
That's what I'm getting at. Is we shouldn't tell kids that they can be the president of the United States because
I don't know
can't.
who's saying that anymore. I
Well,
don't,
I know,
I
but
don't
you know what
see,
I
I don't
mean.
see it. But
I don't
yeah.
either, but I mean, I'm just saying, like, in general, like, I think that there's got to still be people out there that are hyping their kids up. That's got to be real.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they're just gassing them up. Like, it's not,
You just don't see
It's
it
not
behind.
true.
It's behind closed doors mostly.
well, you have one kid in school or two?
One. He's in
7?
first. 500.
Yeah. All of them.
How many kids are out there?
In fact, they had to make a whole school just for Gary's kids. But you know what I mean? Like, even teachers, though, will be like, oh, if you try real hard, you can be this, right?
Teachers don't really
You don't
teach
think-
anymore.
Well, that's true. They don't do anything, do they?
It sounds
That's
like
a whole different conversation, too.
it
yeah.
sounds like nowadays that teachers are
Babysitters.
babysitters. They're
Mm-hmm.
just managing the day. Listen, I've got nieces and nephews in school, and it
Yeah.
doesn't sound like. I don't know. Did we really get anything mind blowing at school? I'm not really sure.
No.
But school is different now.
We didn't, but it's way different now.
And I will leave it at that.
It's way different now.
And I'm okay with that, but
Yeah.
as long as your structure is
No.
fine at home.
I think we need to do away with public schools, but that's a conversation we can have on another episode. Do you have any final thoughts for the people? Let's get out of here. What do you think? It's been an hour and 45 minutes.
Any final thoughts?
Yeah. That don't take
Guys.
too long like mine do.
If you can change somebody's day and help make anybody's days better or a difference in your community, in your area, that's my final thought for today.
Do it.
Do it.
What you're saying is do something nice for someone today.
Or that. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a good thing to leave the people with.
Yeah.
Do something nice for someone today. I have a buddy that does that. He says that at the end of his videos and stuff that he makes. Do something nice for someone.
Something
today.
you wouldn't normally
We should
do.
come up with our own catchphrases. We'll do that one day.
It'll just
about
happen.
it. You think about it'll just happen.
It'll just happen.
Yeah. You stay classy, San Diego.
You stay classy.